All right, so starting with P5X first limited banner, which is the man Joker himself. We already know this guy is an absolute crazy DPS. He has all of our hearts when it comes down to style, and he can bring a lot to the plate when it does come down to at least what he can do. So with this being stated, we're going to be going over his gear set and things of that nature to get you guys to make the best Joker you guys can really make here. So if you want more content like this, be sure to sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hit that like and subscribe button, but let's go ahead and jump straight in. All right, so we're going to be starting with this character's passives here and then leading into the skills later on with this one. But pretty much with Joker here, we have a lot that we can work off of with, and that's going to be going off of his main passive being the first thing that we're looking at here. Now for his passive at 0, which is going to be the one that all of you guys are going to be having here, pretty much at the end of your turn, for each enemy who is below 50% HP, Joker will gain 1 evil key. Now once every 3 evil keys here, Joker will be able to of course get an extra turn, and every evil key will be removed. Each enemy can only give Joker 1 evil key at the end of the battle, or at least per battle. Now the whole thing with this evil key, pretty much all you got to know is at that 3rd stack, which you'll usually see above Joker's health bar here, you're easily getting yourself an extra turn. With this in mind, you're able to actually proc this a lot more, and especially if you do have the weapon, it makes it even easier to get that extra damage off, as well proc as much as you need for his evil key stacks here. Each evil key stacks, of course, if you do not know, with his actual potential 1 skill, which is going to be just his basic, just overall passive skill here, you'll end up getting yourself an 8% of attack increase here. And while also getting your extra turn going off of his secondary passive, which is named Devour, you're actually getting yourself not only an extra turn, but your damage is increased by 33%, giving you more of that extra huge DPS that you are looking for. Now, of course, with this in mind, you're going to be wanting to make sure you're exploiting this as much as possible, trying to get that extra 3rd on the stack to make sure you're getting that extra turn here, and that will really make Joker shine above more of the rest of the characters themselves. Now, as I stated, evil key is obtained on any of his moves, mainly his 1st skill and his 2nd skill. His 3rd skill is mainly meant just to deal curse damage in general, and that's going to be more if you have a debuff on the enemy. But that's pretty much just going to be your 1 and 2 to get you those evil key stacks, going along with his passive, of course. Now, should you dupe this guy out, he actually does have some crazy interesting dupes here. So if we go ahead and take a good look at his awareness dupes immediately here, click back up here, we're going to look at the number 1 potential. Now pretty much with his potential 1, or at least his conscious 1 here, he's getting himself a 30% extra increase in skill damage. Now this is actually a huge jump, in which, if I'm being honest, indie free to play, if you guys can do it, at the end of the day, I would definitely advise at least trying to get 1 dupe for this character, because it absolutely makes a giant freaking change. I think I have him at least 1 dupe on my Taiwan account, and I am definitely going to be trying to get him higher later on, at least on my KR accounts. But most likely Taiwan is going to be the one where I'm going to be able to show you guys this. But 30% extra damage, which is absolutely insane when it does come down to it. Now going to his 2nd passive here, or at least his 2nd upgrade, during the extra turn here, his SP that is consumed by skills is reduced by 60%, in which the SP, if it is above 80%, his attack is increased by 50%. So he's actually getting himself a way stronger, at least a way stronger type of ordeal with this here. And actually, no, that was the 3rd one immediately that I was reading, not the 2nd one here. Sorry about that. But it's going to be way stronger when you get that 3rd one. Now for the 2nd one here, the 2nd one's kind of interesting. You go up in 3 levels, but it's nothing too interesting here. It's every other one that we're going to be looking at. And next one that we're going to check out is the number 5. Now the number 5 consciousness, if you are up here in the whale territory. So I say, like, if you're free to play, get that 1. But if you're like in the dolphin or whale territory, 3 and 5 would be very, very important here, because while using your 5th one here, the highlight is actually improved, and Joker will end up getting 3 evil key stacks off of using his highlight. So that means you can get off the highlight, immediately get another hit off, and then of course you'll automatically get your rerun on your turn. So you technically get 3 whole turns out of the deal. And I think that's really, really good, especially knowing that you're going to have that extra life, or at least that extra evil key stack to return your turn. But all right, so after going over the passives and at least the skills that we have here, let's go ahead and jump straight into the skill priority. Okay, so when it comes down to the skill priority here, we're going to be looking at Arsene themselves here, in which already has some crazy stacks here. But as we all know, if we go ahead and click these guys, once we have them upgraded, you're able to level one of these up at a certain point. Now, I'll be honest with you. If you are like kind of me and just like Joker in general, you're probably just going to upgrade them all no matter what here. But I'm going to show you which ones you want to try and upgrade first. Now, if I'm being dead honest, you want to try to proc his evil key as kind of fast as possible on at least one of the enemies here. So I would definitely suggest trying to get yourself either the Ominous Omen or either the first skill here, Fearless Repression here, up first. Reason being is because they, no matter what, will give you one of those stacks of evil key, and that is what we really want to have. Now, even though the third skill does do a ton of damage if there's a debuff on the opponent, which there always will be because you're going to be running this man with a debuff related team here, you really want to start working on his single target and his AoE first to make sure you're guaranteeing yourself those extra percentage of damage while also making sure you're getting up the ones that actually give you those evil key stacks. So in all honesty, for me, just to make sure that we have things going right here, I would suggest being Ominous Omen being the first one, because you do get 2 evil key stacks off of it, and then you would go ahead and go for Fearless Repression as your second one for skill priority. Now, as for the third and fourth out of the combat skill, and then of course the third move here, it's more likely just going to be the regular third move here, only just because the combat skill only requires to the one more / the highlight. Now, with that in mind, sure, it is really good to get those up. That highlight skill is absolutely amazing, does tons of damage, but we want to overall go on Joker's absolute damage overall, what he can actually use every turn, and that would more likely be the skill. So as we're going into priority, we have our number 1, our number 2, this one coming in 3rd, and then we'll have our highlight being 4th. But that's honestly how I would say you want to do skill priority. Let's go ahead and get into his weapon options. All right, so getting into Joker's weapon options here, we're going to be looking at least a couple options other than just the 5-star weapon. Now, initially, this is the best weapon no matter what right now. Right? We don't got any other daggers that are 5-star out for him, and this weapon absolutely makes him just disgusting. All right, but in weapon options, at least rarity wise, of course, you only have the 3-star that you can use, which gives you, of course, the attack power that you're looking for. But what you really want to get, no matter what, if you're free to play and you don't want to go stupid into the weapon banner, or you don't feel like you're going to be lucky with it, go for the 4-star. You don't need dupes into it. You can actually just go ahead and use it at 1 here. Seeing that at 1, no matter what, the machete is giving you 12% attack power increase here. And if an enemy is above the condition that is needed, you actually get the 19.1 attack power increase. Now, of course, if you do have dupes into this, it actually goes higher. I currently have this one 4 duped here when I was actually going for this weapon immediately, which is a 20% increase here, and then a 30% increase. If you're someone who just feels lucky and you think you're only going to max dupe the 4-star weapon but not get the 5-star weapon, I don't know how that works, but it can end up going from 12% and 19.1% all the way going to 24% to 36.2%. Now, this is going to be fairly interesting, especially if you can't get the 5-star weapon. You definitely want to run this guy because it's the only 4-star weapon that you're able to use for this character. So you literally only have a couple choices when it does come down to this man, which is the 3-star and the 4-star weapon. And then with the 5-star weapon, you only need one of there. Of course, if you duped it out, which is world territory, you're getting yourself a lot more things included, but it's mainly just going to be the percentages of at least the attack power that he's getting. Other than that, nothing really changes. Now, if you do have the 5-star weapon, he gets 30% attack power for 2 turns here, while also if he gains one of these stacks, which is evil key, the primary damage dealt for 2 turns is increased by 10% for 2 turns. Now, if he does reach 3, his next attack will actually give you 23% increase in damage. So it's definitely worth getting, especially if you can get it. But if you are being free to play and you really just want to make sure that you don't want to waste a lot of your materials and things like that, just try to get his 4-star weapon and dip out of there. But now if we went over the weapon here, let's go ahead and go into his gear set. All right, so gear sets are going to be interesting inside of this game here, in which this is not the gear set that you can pretty much use here. What you guys want to actually be using for Joker is going to be the interruption set. Now, the reason that we're using the interruption set is mainly just because we want that curse damage 10% increase here, which actually does make a difference. I went around and actually tested out both sets with the exact same main stats, and probably not the substats, right? But both sets with the exact same main stats, just being a 4 set themselves, and it actually turned out that this one was at least weaker by 100, but that's because with this set effect here, we do need some debuffers on the team. Now with those debuffers, you are absolutely going to min-max the most that you can get out of Joker, in which if you're running Joker, no matter what, you're probably going to have a debuffer in your team. It's kind of weird not to have them in your team, especially if you're going to be using Ren or something like that. So this set is actually going to give you more for your buck. So you're going to be wanting to use this set in general for at least a 4 set, which allows you to at least manipulate a lot more of that curse damage. Now, along with this here, the effect, if there is a debuffed enemy, you're actually able to deal 20% damage, at least increased damage, which helps him out even more. Now, if you wanted a secondary set when it did come down to the gear itself, you can go ahead and just use this one as the 4 set. I've been using it recently just because, of course, it's one of the easier ones that you can get, seeing they give it out for free, and you can get this in mementos quite often. It works very well, but of course, you really won't see the 4 set effect until you have those 6 turns passed. So of course, it's going to be kind of meh until you get that to go here. Now, when it does come down to the main stat effects here, the first card, no matter what, is always going to be life, but for substats, you would probably want to aim for this. Now, I think I should have it edited on the side of the screen, but it would most likely be attack power, crit rate, or crit damage. And then you would most likely want to use speed and a damage boost. Now, the reason that we're going with something like that, of course, is mainly just because this man is going to require a lot of DPS related stats here. You don't really need the effect hit because no matter what, it is actually guaranteed with him for the most part. So you don't really need the effect hit rate. So getting that extra critical rate slash damage bonus attack percentage is what you really want to be aiming for when it comes down to substats. Of course, you could use penetrate as well. Penetrate does help as well when it comes down to those defensive type characters. But I mean, that's up to you to go ahead and try to look over. I definitely would suggest try doing attack power, crit rate, crit damage, or either attack power, crit rate, crit damage, speed, and of course damage bonus. Those are going to be your 4 that you really want to go for the most part. Now, in terms of just main stats, we're going to be looking at this here for the most part. We're going to have, of course, our main life stat being the main one here. Second one, definitely want to go with attack power no matter what you get immediately here. And then for the third one, instead of attack power here, like I have, try to aim for either a crit rate. This is crit damage, critical effects. Either crit damage substat, and then make sure you have a ton, crit damage main stat, and make sure you have a ton of crit rate substats, or you can use a crit rate main stat and have a ton of crit damage substats. Whichever one that you go with is going to alter your set a little bit here. So if you go with a crit damage main stat, you better have a lot of crit rates on him. If you're going with a crit rate substat, or at least main stat, you better have a lot of crit damage on him. Vice versa pretty much with it, but definitely try to have those. As for the fourth one here, I do suggest go with speed. I don't really think anything else is kind of worth it, because yeah, we have SP recovery, we have life, defense. I don't think you can get attack on this piece. Oh no, you can. So either you can go with attack power just to make sure and get that extra damage off, but as long as he's slower than Ren, because Ren is going to be the main person who's proccing those debuffs, so he can actually get a lot more of that damage, you can run speed on this character. Now, if you want to go ahead and just boost a lot more of that DPS, then you can go ahead and put attack power on this. I'm probably going to be testing out the speed side of things here, and then I'll try attack power later. But definitely try speed. I want to make sure that he gets up to the plate, get those stacks off, and be able to deal as much damage as possible. Now, when it comes down to his level 40 card or his arcane card here, if you're going to be using the offensive set, I do suggest using the growth card immediately here. But if you are going to be using the other set that he has, which is going to be interruption, I would possibly say you would want to use the awareness card. Now, the main reason that we're going to be using the awareness card here is because if we go ahead and take a look at the arcane card and just check out what they got here, the one that we want to look at is disturbance, which is the interruption card. Pretty much whenever you deal damage to a debuffed enemy, your damage is increased by 9%. This is actually amazing. I think it only lasts for 1 round or so, but it can be stacked up to 3 times. So of course that can automatically go up to 27%. So it would be better to use the actual awareness card or enlightenment as is stated here with the 4 set of the interruption cards, which is going to be this one right here. But all right, now that we've went over at least his gear set immediately, let's go ahead and just go to his best teams. Okay, so now taking a look at least into the team comps here, this is going to be more of your free-to-play / budget curse team that you're going to be most likely using here, and that is going to be Joker, Sophia, and Cattle. Now, the reason that we have this is because with at least Sophia here, we're able to stack more of those DOT effects, especially if we don't have another character that goes along with this. Sophia himself actually makes himself really busted, seeing that he's actually able to apply those DOT effects quite often with his skill set as well. And it can really make him a little bit of a problem, especially if you are using him and pretty much exploiting his passion poetry effects and things like that. So of course, if you have Sophia on the team, he will really make Joker shine, seeing no matter what, they're always going to have a debuff on them, making sure Joker deals the most damage. Now, alongside of this, of course, you do have Cattle being here, being at least your budget healer. Let's say you don't have Mona, or either like you really do need that extra debuff, which is going to be the burn here. Then you're able to, of course, use Cattle. Now, Cattle is someone that we get at the very beginning of the game here, so of course he is going to be one of those budget type units that you guys can use, in which he does deal at least flame damage and proc burn on his Blazing Flames skill here. Now, alongside this, of course, he has a single target heal and a actual AoE heal, which is very nice, especially when you really will need some of those healings to keep Joker and the other curse user at least on their feet here. So I would definitely suggest to try out this team, making sure you're dealing the most you can deal. Now, of course, with this actual game, or at least with this team here, there's other teams you can run, in which one of them is way more pay to win, or at least way more on the side that you're probably going to be using here. Now, instead of having, of course, our man being Cattle, we're going to be using Morgana, and let's just play like, I don't know, let's play like on over here is going to be Ren. Now, Ren is fairly interesting, right? We got to make sure no matter what, if you're going to be using Ren needs to be the fastest on the team. So let's act like On is Ren here for a second. This would be the team that you would want to run, mainly because then you have Ren dealing everything she needs to deal, whether it's just going to be absolutely debuffing the entire team consistently and making their lives absolutely harder. Now, she's able to do a lot of things, especially when it does come down to her persona here, in which does allow you to deal at least some nice little debuffs that can actually make their lives utterly disgusting. So this is probably going to be the main team that you guys are wanting to run, and it's only just because Ren is just broken. Like, she literally brings in the reducing in defense, of course. She brings in different debuffs when it comes down to increasing her skills, at least damage in general. They have chances to different forget. So she brings out the debuff galore that can really make Joker shine. This is more of your pay to win type of team, or if you just got stupid lucky, it's more of your type of team like that. Now, you could very well use, instead of no healer or like no healer in general, you could just put Sophia there as well with Ren. It's not suggested because then you have also three of the same element just kind of sitting here, and which can get you kind of messed up, as well as you won't have a healer. So I mean, you could make Wonder a supporter, which could be very well when working with this team, but I still wouldn't suggest using triple curse. It's probably not the best for you to do, so it would be more like Morgana, Ren, and Joker as the best team. All right, you guys, so this was the first time I did one of these videos. I hope I edited it good enough for you guys. to actually show some things here. I originally wanted to get some more gameplay in this as well, but I couldn't really get the gameplay because of course I couldn't hit level 50 in time, in which that's when I wanted to start doing at least all of my grinding. But seeing this is a free-to-play account, I could not hit level 50 in time to get you guys the visuals that you probably like. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button. You can consider subscribing if you are new. We're going to be doing more build guides very soon. One of them actually going to be pertaining to Rin herself. So yeah, look forward to that. I think the next one that we're going to be doing is definitely going to be Sophia, seeing I do have everything needed to go over that character for the most part. So yeah, stay tuned for it. Until next time, everybody, peace out.